Welcome to the Optimize You podcast, the place where we're helping you optimize every area of your life. In today's podcast, Alex and I are going over our past mistakes, big, huge epiphany moments that we made and shifted so that we can operate at higher levels. Let's get into it.
Something that I have been thinking about recently a lot is just big shifts that I've made. Or I guess I don't even know if I would say like big shifts, but small, medium, large shifts that we've made in our health and fitness journey that have like completely transformed. Not necessarily like our body, maybe our mind, like any sort of thing. And what's the first thing that pops into your mind when you think about like small, medium, large shifts that you've made that have been a game changer for you?
The first thing immediately for me being a competitive person was I was overworking myself to the T, especially when I was competing in CrossFit. So I was doing double days 6 times a week. Seventh day would still be some movement, but I'd treat it more like an active recovery day. And the whole mentality was like, just go, 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 go. And I had this thing in the back of my head that was like, if you're not doing work today and you're not coming back for a second session, somebody else is, and they're going to be catching up to you, right? Like, or, somebody else is putting in the work when you're not. And so I had that mentality, and man, looking back now, it was like, yes, you have to have a certain capacity to be able to compete, and you have to hit certain numbers, and you have to be able to check these boxes and stuff like that. But the damage that I was doing to my body in the process was like, I look back now and I'm like, it was stupid. Like, it was not sustainable. I was pushing myself to the red line, to the max, multiple times a week, over exhausted. And then I would come back in for like another session and I would focus on lifting heavy, so it would be two totally different sessions, like a high intensity session. And then you come back in and do some strength or gymnastics or like weakness work. And the amount that I was pushing my body was stupid. Like, I look back now, I was like, yeah, it was cool. It was fun. I had fun competing, but I thought that was how you got better. I thought that was how you got healthier, how you got overall fitter. And I had to realize that those things are on different sides of the spectrum, right? Like, you have, and you and I have talked about this before, you have performance, health, longevity, and then aesthetics or looks is kind of like in its own area as well. And so I was trying to mesh all of them. I think that was my biggest mistake. That was like my biggest aha moment, was like, I want to be super good competitively. I want to be in good shape. I also want to look good, and I want to feel good. And then I want to be able to operate for longevity. And I just want to overall my health be in good position. I wanted all the things. And so when I was doing that, I look back now and I was just like spreading myself thin between, kind of these three main pillars of, aesthetics, performance, and then health and longevity. And I was trying to do all of them. And that was my biggest mistake. It wasn't until I switched, had an aha moment, stopped competing, and that shifted in my training changed drastically. And I think you were saying you're kind of in a similar boat to where you might have been doing too much, right? And you made some adjustments as well.
Oh, dude, it's like that. That is the exact story. Not. Yeah. I was doing CrossFit. I was doing CrossFit like workouts some of the time, right? I was doing really high intensity. I remember I had this workout that I did every Monday morning. It was like my first workout of the week, after just always having a big like Thursday, Friday, Saturday where I just got, hammered and ate every single type of food that was in sight, right? And this was like we're going to burn as many calories as we possibly can workout on Monday. And it was like not like a circuit. So it was 60 seconds of rest. And then you would do squats, shoulder press, push-ups, and you would start at 10, go all the way down to 1, and then go right all the way back up to 10. And it was just like, I tried to put as much weight like as possible to finish it. Like, my goal was to increase every week, like 5 pounds on everything, and just make sure that like when I was done, it was like I did one like last rep, and it was the last thing I had in the tank. Right. So I would just destroy myself and basically almost throw up every week on that. I was working out at least once a day, 6 to 7 days a week. A lot of times I would, do another workout, or I would go on a run, or I would do this incline run thing on the treadmill where it was like I would run on incline for as long as I could. Then I would like rest at like a regular like flat thing, and I would go incline for as long as I could, and it was just like this circuit thing, and it was just this whole deal of basically trying to burn as many calories as possible to negate what I was doing on the weekend, but also just thinking that like more is what was needed to grow. Is like, oh, if I continue to work out more and I continue to push, just do more of X, Y, Z in the gym, then I'm gonna get stronger and my lifts are gonna grow. But what I found was that the opposite happened, is that I just ran myself into the ground, because not only was I eating like an asshole on the weekends all the time, and then trying to like be super strict during the weeks, but it was just, I was doing way too much and my body was never recovering. So the big shift for me, and it sounds like this was pretty similar for you, just having us talked about this in the past and recently as well, is that going down to a 3 day a week workout split was one of the big, just complete game changers. And I was actually worried to do it. I remember I started listening to Mind Pump, and they were
Mm.
talking about recovery and stress. And I think it was like they talked about like the common things that you're going to see, like if you're just overworked and that your body's run down, and it's like, oh, your lifts are plateauing or they're going back, and you feel like you're sore all the time and you're sleeping bad and you're like all these. And I was just like checking everyone. I was like, yep, all these things are going on. And they're like what you don't need as much as you really think you need. Like, and they talked about a full body 3 day a week split, and I was like, I think it took myself like a month or two of convincing to try it, but I did it, and it was, I just remember how crazy of a change it was, where I started sleeping better, and like my body felt good, and like I had never seen like that much of a jump in such a long time, and how much weight I was pushing and all the different exercises I was doing. So it really allowed me to hit my goals. And on top of that, I wasn't spending 7 hours in the gym every week or 8 hours, not, like however long I was working out and like focusing on exercise and movement. Like it took it down by like at least half, probably more than half. And so now I had that time for other things as well. So it was like, that was the huge game changer for me.
Yeah, dude, I was similar in the fact that I still to this day do full body splits now. Once I
Yeah.
made that transition, there was no more double days. I scratched those. So when I look back at it, I was training 6 days a week, twice a day, with a seventh day being active recovery. And if I wasn't like kind of pushing the throttle on my active recovery, I felt like I was not doing enough. And so making that transition, it was more of a mental transition than anything. It sounds like you were too, where you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I need to step off the throttle and let that be okay, and let that actually be more beneficial for me by doing so. It wasn't so hard doing it physically. It was the mental aspect of it, of feeling like I needed to be in the gym or else I was getting worse if I wasn't. It was just go,
Yeah.
go, go, super competitive mentality. Um, and it wasn't until I was able to take my foot off the gas and go, I went down to 4 days a week and just single sessions a day. So for me, that was like cutting it more than in half. And I just did it, and I had to trust in it. And I was like, I'm going to do it for long enough to the point where I'm going to see if it makes a difference, right? Let's run it for a few months. Let's give it an honest, try here, and not just kind of like dabble in it, and not go back to what I was doing before because I didn't give it a long enough time. But some of the first signs that I saw were I was able to sleep better. I wasn't recovering at first, right? And I was also eating shit because I needed the calories to be able to do that much output and that much volume and that much work. So then it forced me to tighten up my nutrition a little bit. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not exerting or expending as many calories as I was doing all these high intensity workouts, and just blasting myself and laying on the ground after and making sweat angels and, sweat pools everywhere. So it was a different style of training. I was like, I'm going to do full body splits. I'm still going to hit compound lifts, but I'm going to also do accessory type stuff that complements those. And I'm going to get a little bit of everything, full body workout. And I'm going to kind of rotate through these 4 days here. And man, like you said, my strength started going up. I didn't feel like my joints were achy. I felt like my body was actually recovering. So every time I went into the gym, I was like chomping at the bit to get after it and hit that workout, versus before it was more of a mentality of like, damn, I'm back here again. Like, how are we going to make it through today's training session? I feel beat up. I feel like a car wreck hit me, like, I don't know if you played football too. It'd be like the day after playing a game, like a football game. And then you going back in the next morning and you're back there again. You're like, okay, despite me feeling wrecked, I got to find some way and dig deep to like finish my, get through today's training session, which by the way is not ideal. You should not be doing that. But
No.
that's how I thought. That's how I was operating. Then went down to these 4 days a week, full body splits. My body felt like, I think the best way I can describe it is my body felt the way that it should. And I hadn't felt that in a long time, if at all, ever. And so less frequency during the week, more intentional with the training, backing off the intensity in terms of like the cardio, high intensity breath work stuff, and just focused on full body, still getting my strength in, making sure that my training sessions are well balanced. I'm including mobility and I'm allowing my body to recover. And I had to focus more on nutrition, making sure I get enough protein, introducing higher quality foods. And dude, it was just like something just clicked. And I was like, I've been doing that for years now and I haven't gone back because I've loved it so much. So that's kind of, we sound like we're in the same boat with that. And it's cool that you kind of had that epiphany and I did too. And they happen to be on very similar aspects. And honestly, I recommend for my clients coming in who are either in a similar boat or even if they're in a different part of their journey, that I recommend full body splits for them anyways, regardless, And so that's kind of how I coach my clients. If they have something very specific they're working towards and it doesn't require full body splits, obviously there's nuanced scenarios, but generally speaking, full body splits, if you haven't done it, it's the way to go, man, for sure.
I agree. And feeling energized leaving the gym. I'm sure you probably felt
Yeah,
that because that's really what you should be feeling most of the time when you leave
totally.
the gym or a workout is you should feel better than when you started. There
Hmm.
might be, it might take like a second. Sometimes you might be a little bit tired right away, but like when you get going and you're leaving, you really should feel pretty good. And I know
Yeah.
I've heard that from Mind Pump as well. They're like, the sign that you're like actually got the right training volume is that you're leaving the gym going like feeling energized after the workout. And that's not to say that you should half-ass the workout or any of that stuff, but it is just saying that like if you're finding that you're always like just dragging leaving the gym and like maybe you're not as productive after you leave the gym because you're just then maybe what you're doing now, it might not always come down to your workouts. Maybe you're just not recovering and you just really need to focus on like tapering down that volume even more than you naturally, or maybe you need like a few extra days off or a week off. I know I still to this day take a week off every so often, like when my body needs it, when I just feel like I'm just run down and like I'll take a week off. And I remember that would have been in that period of time where I was working out twice a day, even to the point where I was doing full body workouts 3 times a week. Like I still there's no way in hell at certain points in that journey I would have ever taken a week off. Like I would have been like, that is like, I'm going to lose all of my progress. Like there's no way that I can possibly do this and continue to have this body that I have. And like, it's my worry with all that was that I was going to completely throw everything out the window. But I found that when I did that, it was like, oh, I feel really good. And it's not that I'm not moving, right? I'm getting walks in. I'm really focusing. I focus a lot on like yoga during those weeks, right? Which is good, like mobility, yoga, walks. You're still getting that movement in. And then you're really focusing on recovery in the sense of like flexibility and mobility, which are huge things that can get neglected by a lot of guys out there as well when you're just focusing on pushing weight, right? When that mobility, when you're a little bit more mobile within those movements, like it's going to lead you to pushing more weight if that's your goal, being stronger, getting a deeper squat, which is debatably more important than being able to push all of this weight within a lower range of motion, right? So there's all of these different things that are beneficial there. But I found that was kind of another thing that that was a hard mindset shift along that same lines. That it was like, okay, like it, like I just had to get to the point where my body was just not feeling good. And it was kind of the same thing where it was like I wasn't seeing myself make progress. And it's like, okay, like even the lifts are going down and you kind of had maybe progress going for a little while and you hit that plateau almost. And then I found that like when I'd come back from those weeks, like I was still pushing the same weight basically that I was the week prior, but I just felt so much better. And generally, then I would start going in the right direction again with progressive overload and my seeing progress again.
Yeah, same dude. And like I would get those same signals of I wasn't progressing. I was staying at the same weight for extended periods of time. My times weren't improving on workouts. And so that in my head meant push harder. Like you got to go harder. And I did that until you literally bury yourself. And I remember like being to the point where I didn't have the energy to do anything else other than train. You know, I was very like, I remember having to coach classes at the time after that too. And like just standing and being on my feet and like coaching other people, which is like, should be super easy. Dude, I wanted to lay down and like go to sleep. You know, I wanted to like sit down and I was exhausted all the time. And I was just continuing that trend over and over and over. I would like train to finally get to an active recovery day where I was just like, okay, I'm just going to do like some light bike work and some mobility and some stretching and maybe some jogging. Like that was the day I looked forward to. And then I came in, you know, starting Monday again, it was just like, here we go again. And it's like, you know, you're putting your body through like this car wreck. And yeah, man, I look back now, it's very easy to see, but when you're in it and you're like hyper competitive and you're like, the only way to get better is to push on this throttle even harder. And it's funny because I have a lot of clients that I bring on that are like that. Those are actually my favorite and best clients, is because I was like, man, I was in your shoes. Like, trust me, like I know exactly where you're at right now. And so those people are fun because it's different information to give versus like, hey, we got to get you to work out. We got to get you to start from 0 days and go into 3. It's like these people, you got to pull the reins back on them and be like, hey, I actually want you to work out less. And it's like getting that buy-in from them to trust in the process it's eye-opening, just like how it was for you and me. And so when people buy into that and they trust it and they go, oh shit, like I'm doing less, I'm feeling better, I'm having more energy, my body's recovering. This is how I should be using training for, is to be able to operate and have a healthier, more sustainable, more vibrant, and enjoy life at a higher level. And then the light bulb goes off for them. It's cool because they have that same moment that you and I had. And it allows you too, when you're less training and less focused on the physical side of things, you give all the emphasis on the stuff outside of the gym. Do you have the energy to operate and do the day to day? You'll notice, you know, obviously people are going to their job. You'll notice you're cognitively more aware, more energy. You show up better to your job. You're not like wasted and exhausted all the time, right? You're sleeping better because your body and your hormones are all balanced. You're not all out of whack and in fight or flight all the time. Stress levels will be a lot lower. You can manage your stress a lot better. And then you combo that with some high quality nutrition, and dude, you'll feel like a different person. And so that's how training should be. And once it clicked for me, I just wanted to share that with as many people who are in the same or similar boat as I was, because it's just a light bulb moment. And you literally improve and enhance everything, right? Quality of life, all of it. How you operate, how you engage with people, how you interact with people, the thoughts that you think, everything. Like I literally, like every category you can go through and check, and improved for me personally. I might have took a hit on like conditioning. It's like, okay, that's the one thing that you have to sacrifice, like a little bit of conditioning so that you're not in tip top shape conditioner from that standpoint, but everything else improves. I was like, okay, that's like the one thing that I can think of that I was like, okay, I probably can't breathe fire like how I used to in workouts, you know, like that's fine. Like I'll totally take that. Like I'm not having a race for time to like get the best time in a competition, you know? Um, so I'll sacrifice that to have everything else improve, you know, me personally.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. And this is one where, you know, this is a good one for anybody out there who feels like this. You're seeing those signs that we talked about, to maybe think about reducing. And like Matt said, he went down to 4 days a week. I went down to 3. Start by reducing a few days a week, even, right? You don't have to necessarily go crazy. And then when it comes to recovery, like I know not a lot of people do what I do, where they'll take a week off. But even taking an extra 2, 3, 4 days, like half a week off, can go a long way, right? You maybe don't have to go that whole way, but just something to look into. Look into what you're doing currently. Look into how you're feeling. Are you progressing? Are you moving towards your goals? Are you being productive outside of the gym? Are you feeling good and energized throughout the day, sleeping good, all these different things? And then, you know, make a decision for yourself, right? Hopefully this has been helpful for you guys to get a little insight on one of the biggest shifts that we both have made in our health and fitness journey, that's made the most difference for us. And if you enjoy this, again, all we ask from you is that you share this with one person that you know that you think could help. Somebody who's maybe an animal in the gym, and then they go crazy. And maybe this is something that they need to hear that's going to help them even get closer to where they want to be with their goals. So we appreciate you. Thanks for watching, listening every week. We hope you have a great rest of the day and week. We'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah.